Oh my God, and I'm huffing and puffing too, because I gotta go.
Cool, I'm on.
Okay. Mike and everything. Welcome everybody to we are in December to our last meeting of 2024, correct? Yep. Let's just start by going around and everybody saying their name.
Catherine Tolmer, student rep.
George Dervillis, student rep.
Paul Kendrick, community rep.
Eric Steinmiller, principal.
Amy Zemnick, parent rep.
Leslie Gonzalez, parent rep.
Yeah, Jaime Ponce, parent rep.
Okay, so we have, I think Zach, is Zach online?
He wants to join. I don't know if
Is he?
We're not here yet.
Okay. Can we just motion that when Zach joins that we will let him join?
So,
Okay.
any LSC members.
Any,
As long as we have four.
okay, as long as we have quorum, any LSC members can become virtual.
I second.
All in favor?
I
Okay. Motion passes.
All right, rock and roll.
Okay. Public participation. Veronica.
I don't see anybody online yet. but-
Anybody?
And-
nobody's mad at us.
Mhm.
All the people.
I don't see anybody online. Raise your hand if you want
Okay.
online. Nope. All right,
Moving right along.
next.
All right.
People are happy, Dr. Stein.
I know. Review. Okay, so we do not have the November minutes. We do have the October minutes. So did anybody have any edits or changes to the October minutes?
Nope, I'd like to
No.
motion to.
Second,
All in favor?
I.
Okay, great. Motion passes. Celebrations. Do we have any celebrations for Lincoln Park High School? Anybody want to share anything?
Basketball team is rocking and rolling. Two great games versus Curie and Whitney Young.
Had it there, come after this meeting.
Perfect. We also have our winter celebrations, or not winter celebrations, but our winter performances for our performing arts that are going on right now. So it's exciting.
Music. Music had something, is it Monday or Tuesday? Tuesday in the auditorium. That was really nice.
Winter instrumental concert.
I
Yeah.
performed in that.
Oh, yeah,
Congratulations.
I saw you in this, you were doing the saxophone, weren't you?
George, you're like a jack of all trades, man.
So thanks for shouting it out.
Anything else?
I heard that, I have.
A celebration, a celebration, George?
You know, the-
Celebrate.
Okay, I'd like to celebrate that
Use the mic.
that
so
the
people-
LP decisions for college account for the class of 2025, 100, the sesquicentenarian class of Lincoln Park history is up and running, and we have and let me announce the first couple of what
Can you just let us know how many people maybe you have rather than going through each one? How many people have accepted decisions already?
LP decisions. We have Alex, my home dog, Alex Caritas, and at going to Kansas.
George, I don't think we're gonna have time to go through each
Oh,
person,
well,
but
so
it's
far
aw-
six have posted their announcements.
it's awesome.
Instagram account for this?
Yep, this is LPHS decisions 2025.
All right.
Very exciting.
Oh yes, and I also got them to bring up that this is the 150th graduating class in their bio.
Boom.
It's awesome. You've really set an amazing stage for the 150th anniversary. So thank you. Yes, yes, you brought it all to the forefront. So it's awesome because I mean, so many people have picked that up and run with it. The FOL and
This weekend I'm gonna post this weekend I'm gonna put up a Christmas tree in the mall and that I'm gonna pay for myself. I'm gonna prop up with the Christmas tree stand we used to use for like natural trees when I was got, but now we use an artificial tree. And my main inspiration is the finals tree that paid
right.
last year
That
at
was
World
great.
City.
I remember that. Yeah, that was
Thank
fun.
The Christmas
Thanks,
tree
George.
also has a star with the 150th crest on it, and And it's gonna be like a community, an online community forum, but instead of a Christmas tree, and instead of comments and posts, it's gonna be ornaments.
Awesome. Thank you,
Yeah.
George. Thank you for celebrating the school. So I guess we will move to, Laura won't be here today, right? So will you handle the
I've got
budget,
I've got the minutes.
the budget from the budget subcommittee meeting?
Yes, just I'll do a quick review of the minutes that she shared. Second.
Oh, Zach says he's on the Google Meet.
Okay. let me out.
Oh, is that the wrong place?
Yes.
Yeah, it needs to be in the Zoom. For the budget committee, reviewing some of the general items that do not require approval, such as just within Facilitron rental, it goes into athletic transportation, JRTC. Funds were moved for supporting military ball, the arts department for, they were trying to keep an inactive vendor due to repairs. So there's some things that we were trying to just keep that going because they need specific vendors, moving funds for purchasing paper supplies, but also just adding a fee document for JRTC to host a military. So those are some of the things that don't require LSC approval. We do have two items that do require LSC approval. One is because we're moving funds within internal accounts. This is to keep supporting extended day to pay teachers for additional hours of work, but also after school programming that we have. So we need to move $21,000 for that. And then we're going to increase the price for senior grad night. We no longer have OST funds, which can be used to help supplement the cost. We just can't do that again for senior grad night. That's the grad night that goes to the
Six Flags.
Six Flags. Again, it's an optional event. Students aren't required to go, but we can't use OST. So those are the two.
What are we looking?
So it
to-
goes from $80
Oh,
to
there it is. Okay.
$115.
Okay.
And if students choose not to go, it's
And they're kind of like scholarships available, or like can they let you know?
not
if
really.
they
It's more
can?
if they want to participate in going to Six Flags for the night. Yeah, we just really don't have the funds for it. But there's several we do have several events going on. It doesn't hinder graduation. It doesn't hinder like prom, other things, but it's just an added event that a lot of schools participate in that we've been participating in. So it's just an option for them. So those I have those are the two motions coming out of subcommittee to just increase the funding for extended day and then increase the fee for senior grad night. So doesn't need a second, but that because it came out of subcommittee, but we approved those two action items.
So we just need to vote on.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I get a vote to approve the 21,000 in extended day funding and a motion to approve the increase in grad night school fees from $80 to $115?
So moved out of subcommittee. So it doesn't hurt.
We got to vote on that? All in favor? Okay. Anybody?
Cool.
What is it says here, other forms of revenue, farm fresh vending machine. I know we had spoken about that last time. What's the?
Yeah, we've been trying to so farm fresh vending machines. We've been trying to get them. That was something that came out of the student group. So far, we're getting actually pushed back from the district of getting it approved. They've already gone through a process for approving any vending groups that are coming in. Their timeline has passed. We're still trying to get them lined up to be an option moving forward when they read the process school year. So very likely, we're still pushing to see what can happen. And so we're initiating the approval process to get them in line for it because they are not a vendor. But they've already approved everything for this current year. So we're getting that vendor status.
So once you're not a vendor for the year, they don't have
No,
like open, it's not like insurance, open
It's
enrollment.
different. So vendors, you can roll it throughout the year, but for vending machines in schools, they've approved legalization. Right here. So it's this two-step process. One, becoming a vendor. Two, being approved by the district. So we're still working with them. Hopefully, they can get something initiated sooner, but we are in place.
Is it something they have to do every year?
I am not told. If we remain an active vendor, then they don't have to do that every year. We just need to make sure that we're promoting that we want them. Students.
Is there a kickback?
Yeah, go ahead. No, no, no. Okay, so I was talking with Miss Morris about it earlier today. Like I met with her. But I was wondering, so this is something that would be provided by the school. Does the SVC need to fundraise for it? Because they're not very cheap.
No, I mean, it would be where it's a vending machine, so it would be the cost of whatever it is.
Okay. And then, like, is it possible, like, we could do, like, the student voice committee could do some research about, like, sort of, like maybe like vendor companies that are like in between, like the ones we have now in Farmers Fridge, because Farmers Fridge are like, they're just very, like, extremely healthy, which a lot of students, like, they don't want like candy and chips, but they are not going to want like protein bowl, like all of the kind of that, just like something maybe like in between. Would you guys be like open to like different vendors if we did some research?
Yeah, I mean, but again, this was coming out of the recommendation. So
Right,
like
yeah.
we've already started some processes here. So like,
Okay.
the sooner the
We
better, because
can-
we've already got a group that we're trying to work with, and if
Okay,
it's not
then
the group we want,
it's
then
totally
we need
fine.
to put a kibosh on it.
Okay.
and start doing something.
That sounds good.
I feel like they have sandwiches. They don't just have,
Okay.
they have salads, they have sandwiches. I think they have more than just
Okay.
like protein bowls. I
Okay,
think it's a very
beautiful.
healthy, they have like
Oh,
noodled
okay.
things. I'll be at the airport tomorrow. I can take a closer look for you
Yeah.
and report back.
Thank you.
All right, that's but
I have a question. I have a quick question. So is the plan to remove the old ones that are in place already or just add this one?
I think
to
it would be in addition to,
Okay.
but right now we just have to work. Even if they become a vendor, doesn't mean we have to use them. It just but they're not an option until become a vendor.
Well, and it's certainly, I think, worth a trial, a year to see, like, is this something that kids are interested in, especially on a day like today? Right.
Yeah.
So
That
I'm
they're
just
healthy.
assuming there's like some kind of kickback for the school or for
There will be, we will
CPS?
not use any group that's not going to give us. So initially when we
But
started
when they're
talking,
in the school, it's for the school, right? It's not for district.
right, it would be for school, but initially when we're talking to them, they were like, oh, this would just be a mutual exchange. Like, no, if you're putting
Right.
a vending machine, there should be profit. You're making profit. you make profit. So I think it was, I don't have the exact number, so don't quote me on it, but I think it was like a certain percentage, and based on the sales, that percentage increased by the was used. So like I said, if we're looking at other organizations, we just, and so we can do that separately.
I don't know who else does like healthy vending machine
Yeah,
options.
I think maybe just sticking with this would be best. If you've already started like working with them, then go along.
I feel like it could potentially for them
Staff.
be what?
For staff too.
Right.
Yeah.
But I also feel like for them long term, if they use this as like almost a pilot, that could be huge for them to be able to think about bringing their stuff into schools. And once they're in CPS,
Also specifically CPS, since like a lot of private schools have like very good
yes.
lunches, which ours aren't bad, just not as like healthy. as
Not sushi bars and
Big-
smoothie bars and salad bars and yeah.
gourmet.
Right.
Subway.
Okay, well, that sounds like a good plan, so we'll keep an eye on that. Friends of Lincoln Park, is Colin on or is Denise representing
Let me
or?
look and see
Nope.
if I do see Zach on here now, but
Oh.
I don't see promoting him to panelist.
Does anybody have, well, the Friends of hasn't met since last,
They meet
week.
next Thursday. But what we can do is consolidate, maybe when we talk in principal's report, Ms. Morris will reporting part of the principal's report. We can just include some conversation.
okay, perfect. All right, well, principal report.
Principal's report. So, well, since we're just kind of talking about that, we can actually start hopping into that. Of just talking about some of the fundraising efforts. As a part of the principal's report, there are different leaders in the building who are driving those initiatives. So during the principal's report, during that portion, I'm going to invite them up to present, be a part of that. So Ms. Morse, is there anything you'd like to present out on just briefly on any fundraising from our fundraising summit or fundraising group, and also some of the partnership with Friends of?
Hi, everybody. So I had to leave the November FOL meeting because we had a guest speaker and then I had to run to the booster. So I missed the fundraising portion. So I haven't seen the minutes. So I'm not the most prepared here to represent the group. Hopefully we'll have a really solid meeting next week. A lot to talk about going into the next year. Obviously, we're in the middle of the annual campaign, so I don't know exactly what
Wait,
those,
April or what?
the annual giving campaign.
Oh,
So,
I thought, election season. for,
Raising money.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought
we've
it was
moved
spring.
on from the political campaign, thank goodness. So that will run until mid-February to coincide with the exact date of the 150th school anniversary. So I know FOL is planning some tie-ins to that. The gala planning in spring will be in full force, I'm sure, by mid-January as well. I know there will be tie-ins to the 150th as well. Those are like the big items in terms of, I think, FOL. Oh, I should say I've raised the issue in the last fundraising meeting about monetizing the marquee. How do we do more with that? So we had a booster meeting last night. We talked about it. I'm going to put it on the agenda for next week for FOL. So we would like to come to the group here to Dr. Steinmiller with a proposal to decide on what's the price point that gets you a spot, what's the rotation schedule, et cetera. So we don't want to turn it into a constant commercial, but we also want to take advantage of great real estate and some sponsorship opportunities. So that's out there. In terms of sports, athletic fundraising, I think there are 3 or 4 in process right now, live, mostly snap raises, boys basketball, I think, girls bowling, perhaps a small fundraise for girls volleyball. And then we'll see what we need for spring sports as well. In terms of club fundraising, after school clubs, a few conversations happening. Nothing to really report right now. I'm just like trying to consolidate the process across the different groups. And we are selling concessions at the games, at the basketball games. So we've got 2 clubs, majorettes and cheer, who are running with that. And I've got kind of like a new playbook for that, so we can accept cash and electronic payments, get the funds to the right people quickly. Not huge money makers, but something that really is a little bit of money plus a service to our fans. So I think on Monday for the boys game, I think cheer sold out of almost all of their inventory. So I think that's
And part of the process we're going through now, especially with Ms. Morris's position, as clubs, organization groups are looking towards fundraisers, she'll be the point of contact liaison so that if it's athletics going the right direction, if it's going towards friends of, or if it's something internal towards the school, but she'll be a point person for helping organize the fundraising, but also make sure we're utilizing fundraising and spacing them out, have a planned approach to it, acknowledging also that out of school time funds will not likely be around next year. And so kind of phasing into the spring of like, what does that look like if we're able to sustain clubs and create that financial support? What does that look like in attendance and the pattern or cadence of those meetings? So there's things that we're continuing to work on right now, but we still appreciate that big term plan, but also we're putting together then the kind of like prioritized list of the things that we need so that we're trying to build towards and fundraise. We know this is a extremely old building. There's tons of facilities needs and tons of other things, but what are the things that we as a group can get friends of, community and other groups around to rally around? And so and also working with that from an athletic standpoint, but also what balances both athletics as well as our academic side of things. So.
Yeah, I would just add to that and say, yeah, I'm building out a fundraising calendar so we can avoid, fundraise fatigue and different groups, especially clubs, kind of running into each other. I'm coming up with some creative fundraising ideas. So, yeah, more to come on that, including some updates maybe next month on some of the bigger items, scoreboard, shot clocks, which we will be required to have
Yep.
next year. Storage facility. So yeah,
Please share the calendar with me. We'll try.
yes, I will. Share-
Thanks so much.
All right. Annotation.
The note taking onto Zoom.
Oh.
There might be on his in there, maybe not on mine. So I don't see it as an extra.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just hold over that.
Let me check his in case
Yeah.
you had.
Just because Alicia isn't here and just dump it in. We're pausing for all those who are riveted online by this meeting.
It's probably like a Chrome extension that you can
I'm
like,
sure it is like,
I swear they have one of those for everything. Like,
Yeah, we can work with parts. See what we can do for next time.
yeah, let's see. And even if this time, if there's an AI tool.
Thank you.
Okay,
I got
is there more on your
Yes.
principal report?
a couple other things. I am a part of the principal advisory. I've been trying to promote him. I'm a part of the principal advisory council for the school district, which is kind of a great opportunity representing Network 14. I'm one of two principals. All elementary principals for each network get one. High school, all four get two from each. I am the representative from our network. I'm on the budget subcommittee for the school district. One of three people who have who chose that. But just understanding that budget has a direct impact on our schools. The other subcommittees that we're working towards is how do we DL diverse learning supports for all of our students at schools and resources allocated with that. Our ELL students, how to district wide do we support our students, and coherence, meaning how does one department work with another, timelines, things like that. So, but I'm a part of the budget subcommittee and trying to make sure that we're getting equitable funding for all of our schools. And what does that look like within the model that we shifted student-based budgeting into quoted positions and different things that had different impacts on the schools. So that's what I'm. So I will keep you updated, but I'm very excited to be a part of that opportunity. I was able to present to the network today, which was a great opportunity. Other things that are coming up, I just want to make sure that we're all aware of. One is we have a group that's been focusing on mocks. And so we have a professional learning community around that with 7 or 8 different teachers. And so, hey, y'all. And Ms. Kaler and Ms. Tookie are both a part of it. So what we have been focusing on are ways to balance the mocks and the amount of time that it takes and instructional time. And in the past, we've actually I've been taking about 19 days of instructional time, so about 4 weeks. And so we currently have put together a survey to survey all of our teacher curriculum teams, meaning chemistry, English 1, English 2, asking if AP teachers, advanced placement, what do they think about mocks with the criteria that we as a committee put together and vetted the questions. If they teach IB, what are their thoughts and different options? And then if they don't teach either of those, what are their thoughts? To get feedback from every curriculum team in the school. We're meeting again next week. We do have kind of, there seems to be a trend so far, but I want to make sure that team has the opportunity to really engage in that data. But we do see a way in which we can drastically reduce the days from 19 to a far smaller group. So I think amount of days. I'm not going to say it's going to be 8 or 9. I want, but it'll be something that as a group I want us to talk about, and I will report back out about that. But very promising conversations from the group and very interesting feedback from all the teachers. Especially the committee, was a really healthy space for everybody to collaborate on how do we increase the voice of every teacher and every curriculum team. So a positive trajectory. Before spring break, I think we should have a good trend to be able to share with everybody, so everybody can start planning ahead of time, and then we'll work out the logistics of what that calendar of the mocks would look like. We'll go from there.
that enough time?
Yes. Normally we would plan out kind of our mocks and after the semester was over in February. If for us to be able to say we've gone from 19 to 8 days and here's what it looks like, here are the mock, and I'm not trying to say this is what the schedule is. I want that team to really go through it. But if advanced placement, for example, it's going digital, there's a trend, for example, like interest of doing it, breaking it up in class or doing something different with it. So IB mocks and AP mocks may look very different based on the interest and preference of the teachers. But again, I don't have that full set of data, and I want that team who's participating in it to be able to really work through solutions. We have some mock-ups, but until we have that data from the teachers, I don't want to move forward and really broadcast what that looks like. Then allow that team to help make sense. So, but it's a really really excited as a group how we're coming together to develop that. So
When do the mocks start?
they traditionally start a month to right before actual assessments. And so one of our goals is if you're giving a mock that there is at least 2 or 3 weeks before the actual assessment to give feedback. That is an expectation I have set. This is not coming out of necessarily that group, but I believe that they reinforce it, is if you give a mock, you must give feedback to the students. If it's just giving a mock for mock's sake and there's no feedback giving back to the students, then that is not acceptable. So I've set that expectation. That's not a good. While the experience is beneficial, it needs to be more robust kind of feedback to students. So we've asked all of our TCTs how they intend to give feedback.
So this school year will be their first run of the new mock. Trial.
Yes, but I think it's going to be, there's ways in which the school's done it previously. I just think there's some solutions that won't be difficult to implement. But the one thing that we have that's a negative to our current structure is we will give a mock and then 2 to 3 days later, students taking a test in the same content. Like it's just not, that's not beneficial and that's not good to give the students say, hey, here's the ways you can develop it. You need to practice to get those skills built to be successful, and they don't have time to do it. So that's going to help us in our scheduling to make sure it's more efficient. So if we can condense it down to a set number of days shorter, it increases then the window of feedback to optimize actually the use. But I'll report more out of that in January, so we should have a good indication by then before we actually have our full blown schedule. Other items just to bring up. Our attendance team has been meeting and focusing on meeting the needs of all of our students. Balancing outreach, data quality, and this is we're talking about the attendance office, but also including like JJ, Mr. G, and others municipal. Like the whole team is talking about how can we work with teachers. We'll be doing a PD in January to talk about attendance and supports, tier 1 supports in the classroom, tier 2 and 3 that are school wide, and balancing the consequences that go with some of that, but also how do we reinforce the students that are we're really losing contact with. So working through a lot of those strategies. And this is the reality. And Miss Theus is actually having to cover for a cluster program. She was going to report out on this, but they need coverage for buses. But one of the things we are seeing, there is a consistent trend between our Black and our brown students that are where attendance, but also academic achievement gaps are happening with freshmen on track. So, and I reported this out at the last time, but that is why the 3 assistant principals, along with other members of our school, have been really focusing on doing after-school tutoring for targeted groups of students, our Black and our brown students who are not finding success at this point. And I think that's an important thing that that they are making sure that students see themselves and tutors and people that are there to support them, care about them, work with their families. And so I really appreciate that. But those are things that we have to continually think about. That's why they're focusing on doing that. But again, it's outreach to parents and making sure that students are losing their off-campus privileges that are abusing it. But again, it isn't the most Aspen, which is the system we use, isn't the most easy to use kind of system, especially since sometimes the data that you get immediately pulled isn't accurate. Up. We don't have excuse forms from parents, or there's things that need to be done, but we are seeing improvement. real positive improvement. I don't have the data. But we are seeing trends from where we were last year. It's been 3 to 4 percentage points higher than we've been in the past at this point.
So are we at like 89?
Around 89, 90.
And 92 is the kind of goal.
Yeah. And there's some things we will clean up. We know some students who have transferred are still showing attendance. Well, that once that gets cleaned up, that actually helps improve it. But that team is working really hard to kind of balance all those needs. We are seeing improvement. I think there's some other ways in which we'll continue to improve it.
I just want to give a shout out to the attendance team. They have so much to do and they are amazing. And anytime I've needed anything, they're like, as a parent, super responsive. So that's been, I think, a nice, huge shift. So whatever we need to do to keep these people happy,
Yeah, I'm with you.
let's keep them happy.
And they're focusing on students, right? Their goal, the data they're looking at is the students. And we're trying to think of ways to balance. We do the reports we get have student, but also teacher data, and trying to balance what that looks like. But in the end, we got to make sure students are supported. The other one is programming update. Just kind of like what our status, where we are with programming going into next year. Right now, we already in the next week, we'll have our whole second semester committed. You have to do that semester to semester. That's already ready to go. So we're good with that. We did program 3 new teachers in, made adjustments to it, getting 3 new teachers and balancing, trying to do supports such as how do we reduce the percentage of diverse learning students in classes. I've already put an appeal in for new positions. Interesting enough, we have 10 classes that have a ratio that's off. So let me explain this. For diverse learning statewide, the state wants you to have 30% of students with IEPs or fewer in a class. Pretty much every class we have is 20 to 46%. We have 10 classes that are over 30%. The only way we can actually lower that is if we had 10 additional classes taught with co-teachers. We don't have 2 teachers to teach those co-taught classes. So it is impossible for us to reduce our ratio. Our lowest percentage is about 20%. That's 2.5 students from 30%. So you can't close a class to open another one, especially for 10. And this is why I'm on the budget committee, because this is a financial implication, is we had 2 positions that were cut last year. We need 2 positions to be able to fill this. And so
Is this a union requirement? Is this a union?
This is state, and at some point is also a federal expectation. I don't want, there have been, I don't know what that looks like. I just know what it looks like right now. But this is an expectation. So we document that we're above 30, you put a quote appeal in with the state says approve it to the district. It creates this loop. And I'm not saying that's okay, but that's kind of what happens. But I did put an appeal in with the district for 2 more positions to be able to resolve it. And I will keep you updated. But for our timeline, when we get back from the end of the second semester, we audit credits for students. We enroll them in evening school, but we will start then our recommendation process for students to get into their classes for our rising sophomores, juniors, and seniors. We have those conversations during with our teachers during our PD day, but also student assemblies. And then our counselors push in. Our counselors have already been pushing in, doing lessons the last 2 since December 2nd with our freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. The lessons are focusing on different types of things, but also programs of study. What programs our students who are freshmen or sophomores looking to get into their junior and senior year, especially if they want to change programs of study at all. And so we have a process that is we've really developed the last 3 years for increasing the efficiency, but also the effectiveness of it, where it's just accurate. And then teachers give recommendations to all the students. We are also, at the same time that is happening, pushing to have a build of next year's program already created for juniors, seniors, sophomores, juniors, and seniors based off of this year. So we're already starting that, and there's quite a few people who are working on that. So that 2 things at once, kind of like the council teacher section, but also having a build that looks like. So when we do have the numbers of how many classes we need to offer, we're not having to recreate something already. So that we can, by the end of the school year, have our sophomore, junior, and senior schedules more or less done. Freshmen are different because they're rolling.
We still got a test and all that.
Yeah, but we need to have our sophomores, juniors, and we have a realistic timeline of what can be accomplished to be able to have those loads in place and an updated master list. That is all I have.
Any update on cell phone policy?
Yeah, I've been talking, Mr. G is doing pop-ins in classes right now, kind of auditing the practice with it.
Yeah, I thought that the the backlash from aggrieved students has kind of died.
Yeah, good, but
On face at least.
but yeah, Mr. G is going to all the classes to reinforce and also document the number, like percentage of what's going on, make sure we're still meeting that expectation. This will be a part of our PD again with teachers to reinforce that expectation. You know, if you don't mind or constantly come back with things, then things start to break down. And we know it happened in a couple of spaces, but we're able to reinforce it and put that up. I don't have that percentage. And talk about it. That's something that's focusing on. So that when we go into our teacher meetings, we talk about, look, we know we've been at 100%. Yeah, 6%. We have 100%. It's not an option. This is what it has to look like. And
Do you feel like it's, Khaki, do you feel like it's still been enforced in your classes? Like it's, or has it waned?
Well, I feel like it's probably waned. It depends on the teacher. Like I know some teachers who take attendance like from the cell phone pocket, like they'll walk over to it
Mhm.
and like take attendance by saying like, and if there's like an empty pocket, they'll say either they're not here, like they'll look, and if they're not there, then they're absent, or tardy. But if they're present and they don't have a phone, like there's not one in the pocket, they'll say, be like, no phone today. And then the student will either be like, oh, fine, put it away. Or they'll be like, no, like it's fixed, or I'm grounded, like whatever whatever the reason is. But like some teachers do that. Some teachers don't really have like problems with it, as in like the students are focused in their class. Other teachers like maybe do have problems and are more lenient. But I think overall, like it's sort of like not like a happy medium, but it's not like some classes it is extremely strict. Other classes it's like not extremely lax, but just like not as enforced. So, but overall, I think it's going pretty well.
we're going to reinforce. That's the point of us doing like the audit again, just to reinforce like don't get lax on it.
Yeah.
Make sure that everybody's doing 100% and because it is working. And there are even states and cities now that are looking at policies. I know that our district's trying to figure it out. We've actually just ahead of the curve on it.
What's so hard to figure out? Like, I don't know why.
Buy-in. So I mean, because if you don't have, I mean, we have 100 and we have 90 classrooms, and so it's a lot. There's a lot of different. But we've had really good support from our teachers. We took time in the spring to do the,
Installments.
third quarter we talked about why with our teachers and staff and students, and fourth quarter we piloted it, and it wasn't just here's a policy to do it,
Right.
and you don't have the momentum behind it and or the buying. We don't have the support from the teachers, then it doesn't happen. So, but yeah, our goal is to reinforce it. So that's all I have for principal's report.
Okay. Wow, moving right along. Committee reports. We did the budget. Safety and security. I don't know if there's an update. There's not really a committee that
There's not
meets
really a committee. I
anymore,
mean, it's
so.
more, it's what we do. We are developing a culture and climate committee. Again, as a principal's report moving forward, we can just include that in some of the conversations of what we're trying to do. But I can merge that in facilities.
Okay, great. Facilities.
Facilities, next up, batter up.
We are moving, this is a record here.
We have our weekly, we still have our weekly meetings, monitoring it. Obviously, one of our biggest thing is balancing just the heat of the building. It's an old building and it's not like where you can regulate it like somebody's house. There's 90 different classrooms and different spaces, and each of these we can tell our old archaic ways of kind of trying to do it. They get stuck. there's little dampers that kind of fluctuate it. And third floor in this room, I can tell you my office, the conference room between my office, which are right next to each other, are like they're in two different planets. So one is on Pluto and the other is in Jupiter. So
Are any of them closer to the sun?
I don't know, but my one's very hot. So but anyway, so still working through those. We do have the gates been put outside for the main entrance. We're actually getting a breaker bar on the inside, so that it can actually shut, and then you can access through a key to get into it. But then at some point that gate will shut, in which so we then can keep students safe during the school day. We are having still the A phone put. It's the phone that you buzz in out on that like street towards the cafeteria for deliveries. We've already started shutting the one gate a little bit to get UPS and our FedEx groups. They've been parking more on Armitage instead of driving up. They still are when it's open, but they're getting into a better routine, and we're gonna start having shipments delivered to the back. And that will really create a nice flow of what we're trying to do. We're just keeping a safe space for our students. Other kind of facility needs, again, our engineers have been bopping, just trying to keep, the rooms, things fixed. There's again, if there's ever a request for something to be fixed, it has to go through the facilities.
You say that louder in the thing.
It has to go through the facilities.
What does?
Any request for facility needs goes through the facility form. It's a way that every Monday I'm able to check and see that they've all been addressed, and they're green literally to the day. And so again, sometimes it may require, if we see repetition of like consistent issue, then we try to figure out what's going on. The same thing with custodial needs. We have the same request. I think are we fully staffed? Or are we one short?
One short.
We are just one short from being fully staffed, which is remarkable. And I'm really happy. I'm so excited.
And the security team is fully staffed?
Security team is fully staffed.
Saw some new faces out there.
Yeah. And they're a good team. They're working real hard. And yeah, I know Stonewall's been trying to build community, and I'm sure everybody feels part of the vision of what we're trying to do. So I think from a safety standpoint, facilities, staffing, we've had breakdowns with our x-ray machines that sometimes result in lines because they keep breaking down, but we keep having them fixed. We still have off campus.
X-ray machines break down?
Well, think whenever you have we're using the auditorium, and we had like 2 or 3 that were there. You're a senior, so you don't go through that line, but
That's a problem for the juniors.
so every once in a while when those machines break, then we have to like narrow from 2 machines to 1, and that
You got new ones?
they're
We've
expensive.
tried that,
They're-
unfortunately.
But right now, I mean, more or less it's working. And so off campus and they're trying
Maybe we can replace the part of the X-ray machine that keeps breaking.
we have, but we'll keep working with the organization that keeps working with that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, there we go.
Okay, extracurriculars, I think we sort of
We
touched
report
on
out.
that.
Some of these I think we can really start embedding in the principal's report. So it's we can have some more concise report out.
We don't even have Eric here today. Student voice and student life.
Okay, so I think the biggest thing I talked with Miss Morris morning about, I think our biggest thing right now that we're focusing on is the fundraiser that we want to do. The students decided, like, we had first talked about the vending machines, but then the school said how they would take care of that. So we were finding a new source for fundraising, and we decided on the gym lockers, like replacing those, because that has been a problem for a lot of students. Like, they get their stuff stolen pretty frequently. So we did like a general sweep of the locker rooms a couple weeks ago, just like sort of taking a look, like how many were broken. We noticed that that they come in groups of like 3 or 6. Some of the boys noted that they had more full lockers, and all of the girls have half lockers, which is no problem. That doesn't really make a difference. But like the half lockers come in groups of like 3s or 6s. And like almost in every single group of 3 or 6, there's at least one damaged locker. So we're thinking
Mm.
just replacing all of them. So next week, we do plan to like go back into the locker rooms, take sort of inventory on like, the total amount of lockers, the broken ones, how many like groups, how they're split, all things like that. And then, figuring out the cost of that. And then, Ms. Morris recommended talking to, the FOL about it, just sort of fundraising because that would be a lot of money since it's replacing 2 locker rooms worth of lockers. So that's the plan for that. I think the other thing, just, it's not solely student voice, but, doing like reinstating the announcements is something we've been working on. Tomorrow at the beginning of second period, I'm going to give an announcement, just sort of stating that like announcements are coming back. We're sending out a form to seniors, to sign up for announcements if you want. Like go ahead and sign up. There's going to be some like sort of training, like fill out the form. I think we said Tuesday. And then like sort of we're going to create some kind of training that they can work on over break just to prepare them for like public speaking, because public speaking is not your forte. Maybe do not sign up for announcements because teachers are not a fan of announcements interrupting their classes. So
Great.
yes.
It is a little, I mean, I know there's nothing that can be done about this, but it is a little perturbing to me that we have students advocating for broken locks. Like, it's just so backwards that you guys are in there like counting how many lockers need to be replaced. It does not seem to be the best use of our students' brain trusts, and it's just
Bring on the repairs.
bring them on.
Also, since Miss Fias is here, speaking of repairs in more sanitary facilities, when does NHS start? NHS surface hours. Geez, the spring? I know, but I don't want it to start in the spring. Okay, thank God, because that would be bad. All right. You know how I want, I still want to do the whole clean up the bathrooms and their paint with the NHS for service hours, right? That's still on the docket. All right, good. Sure. I actually care about my campaign promises. Elections might be temporary, but promises are forever.
I love, if only more politicians,
Yeah.
felt the way you do.
So just like double checking would you rather us run through our fundraisers with you or just fill the form out?
Yeah, we're in this place.
Okay. Okay.
So you don't need any approvals on fundraisers. You're good.
Well, we don't really have any like solid plans yet, but we were thinking of doing like maybe like a hot chocolate like sometime next week, but that's kind of fast to put together. Maybe like in January or February. And then we wanted to do oh yeah, because she said it takes like 4 to 6 weeks for approval. But we wanted to do candy grams for Valentine's Day and like maybe flowers, like deliveries. And like you can like a rose is like $2, and then like hot chocolate is like $2 or $3 for a small, and then like 5 for a large, like whatever. Just because it is just sort of a large sum of money for like the lockers as the end goal. But strategizing with the FOL will probably come first. So
Well, and I think like we can probably all assume that we're going to approve something like that. So I would encourage you guys to go ahead and like plan it. And
Right,
then the
okay.
approval is just Like, don't wait for it to be approved to
Okay.
plan it. I don't see why there would be any reason why we wouldn't allow for something like that.
Okay. Yeah, well, next week, we can have that, we can try to finalize the plan and then head in, take inventory on the lockers, see like how much the cost would be. Is there any like specific place where they came from that we should look into?
We'll have to look at vendors,
Okay.
vendors who are, that we can work with Lopez.
Okay. Then I think that's it.
Okay, one more thing though. I'd like to admit defeat in one of my free campaign promises, and that was in the Mentor Buddy Club. I think the ship has sailed for that this year. But the good news is I'm gonna nominate a successor for my seat. And because the truth was, I didn't know how to actually form a club, which is why I failed to deliver on that promise. However, I'd like to publicly announce that that Mr. Grayson Pashka, that I used to have French free with him every day when I was a junior and he was a sophomore. I entrust that he probably would have a better time forming a club with and he would acquire the information to find out how to start a club, and that would be one of his campaign promises as to starting a Mentor Buddy Club for the freshmen and sophomores.
I love that idea. I think it is a great idea. I think maybe,
Again, I'm very sorry, but I just didn't know how to start a club.
Yeah, I see Miss Thea's taking notes. I see Miss Thea's taking notes, so I'm sure she can connect. We'll figure something out.
Who's taking notes?
Miss Thea is, so
Oh, good.
I know she
good.
will reach out to you to help you fulfill your promises.
It was meant to be the start of the school
Oh,
year.
good.
If we were to start it now, the timing wouldn't be very appropriate.
We'll see. We'll see.
never know who needs a buddy. Okay,
Maybe-
do we have
Yeah, it could
anything from the
work. I
PPLC?
guess that could
I guess
work.
not, because anything? PPLC?
No,
No, no. Okay,
they had Monday, so we haven't had minutes.
we didn't get minutes, right? No, okay. Community relations.
Yeah, we had a nice meeting. Thank you to Zach and Lauda. So just looking over my notes. Just some things, that we want to get out, some of the fundraisers that'll be coming up into the community, like the Alderman's newsletter. So whether that's Booster Sports or, one of the big fundraiser event nights, whether I don't know, maybe we missed casino or trivia, but definitely spring gala. So just sharing those. We want to update our info for the elementary school LSCs. I've been working off a list I have that Amy and I organized a couple of years ago now. So it's turned over a bit. So we're gonna try to get some of those so that we can continue sharing events that we want to invite elementary school parents to feature and spotlight our high school. Amen. All right. Yes. We'll use a different word. Yeah. English language gives us lots of adjectives. Yes. Cultivate. Encourage. Recruit. Speaking of which, we want to, also know about different volunteer activities that we should be recruiting for, and then we can, be posting those. So where do you want, community members help? Also sharing like the visual arts department, performing arts, different events that we should invite community members to. And then last one is, I think, a great idea, but a little harder. But, with the great data you shared last time, or maybe a couple meetings ago, we want to see where, if maybe we can get some journalists to bite on that of, just like looking at the student data and it's just always like education news is always like bad news. Like, how about some good news, and then just seeing if we can, see if someone's interested in writing about like the great progress happening at Lincoln Park High School. So, again, that's a little tougher. We got to really like hone in on the hook, and make sure, to a journalist's eyes, like the data is like clear enough. But I think there's something there because there is a success story happening. We just
Is there a
got
block club
get a-
Chicago person that would be willing
potentially,
to-
yeah, we were thinking chalkboard or chalkboard, or Block Club Chicago, but yeah, but just kind of getting a pitch. But like the data's real, it's substantive. So I figure out a way to make it a little sexy, but like, this is the kind of thing people should be writing about and reading,
Awesome.
changing the narrative. Yeah.
Great.
Anyway, that's what we're working on. And so just keep sending stuff my way. We'll get it out. And but I'll also be scouring the newsletter for things that we can do so. Thank you.
Have you been working at all with the college and career stuff? Have you done any?
Not this year, but would love
Okay.
to get like I was last spring, so would love to reconnect on that with Mr. Young. In ways to help and
I really think
Yeah.
he's knocking it out of the park too. I mean, he's on
Yeah,
it. He's
yeah,
been
definitely.
fantastic. It seemed like there were lots of college visits scheduled this year.
Very well organized.
Is there a college fair?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, here, like he did last year. Yeah, I mean, he's just really another celebration maybe is.
and
attendance at
have
him.
any students taking up what's the name of the organization? Was it High Jump or High
Oh,
High
oh my God, it's Mark Duhan's organization.
Mark Duhan.
Hi.
He was recruiting in the spring. I don't know if anything's come out of that with some
High
students taking High Sight. Any students have joined that, but it's great opportunity.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, do you know Principal Steinmiller?
I don't, but I can
Okay.
follow.
All right. Well, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, and then our meetings are the third Tuesday of the month, although might be right before Christmas. So I don't know. We might need to wait till January for our next one. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Principal evaluation. So I believe that Peter's plan is that in January, we're going to sit down with Dr. Steinmiller in closed session and just have like a kind of mini review of where we are now based on I don't know what his proposed date for that is. I would assume maybe it would be after our next meeting, which would be the 9th, I guess, right? So I don't know, I'll follow up with Peter on that and just get some clarity around that. But there is, I think, a plan that we'd like to just kind of review where things are based on. Oh, right. Yeah, I guess we're 1 week out. It won't even be 1 weekend. So, and then we do need someone to step up and work on sharing the principal evaluation for the spring. So it would be great to be able to get a jump start on that because it seems like typically we kind of lag behind a little bit and then everything gets rushed at the end. So if anyone is interested in doing that, please reach out to Peter. Public comments. Wow, we are at the hour mark and on our second round of public comments. Oh, it was. I'm sorry. You're right. It was under principal report. So athletics and clubs. I thought it was
Redundant. Okay, so just a few things, mostly on sports, athletics. So our winter sports are up and running. It's smaller, shorter seasons. Boys swim, girls basketball, boys basketball. So freshmen, JV, and varsity teams for basketball, girls bowling, boys bowling, and indoor track and field. Yeah, and of course, cheer and dance continue into the winter. So, sorry. Yeah. Open coaching roles. So right now, we don't have many. We are looking for a head water polo coach, either one for girls, one for boys, or combined. We have a couple of.
Hey, we got the girls swim team back on track. Why not this?
Well, I don't know if Coach Slusher wants to do water polo. It is tough. Coach Slusher, who's coaching the boys now, coached the girls to the silver championship. I'm not sure he feels comfortable doing water polo, but we have a couple of really very interesting candidates in the mix right now. That is a spring sport. And then we quite recently have an opening for an assistant baseball coach. So there's a very interesting candidate I just introduced to Coach Van Dyke yesterday. He's a former minor league baseball player. He lives in the neighborhood. He's super interested. So I'm hoping that will work out. That would, really the kind of profile we would love to bring in. And then very recently, freshman track coach. So that's that's the most recent. So I don't have a ton of leads on that. But those are really the openings right now for spring. So in fairly good shape, I hope, before the season starts. And then we'll look to what we might need in the fall as well. Coach equipment storage. So I sent out an inventory to all of our head coaches this week, asking them to fill in an inventory of the type of equipment they have, outdoor versus indoor versus either or both, approximate dimensions. We're just trying to get an overall handle on, what are the real needs by sport, and then how do we tackle that? So I'm happy to say like half of them have already filled it in within the first couple of days, which is awesome engagement. So they've got a deadline for, I think, early next week. So once we see that, we'll go through it, facilities, see what that means, what are really our needs. The goals are really to have secure space, equipment that doesn't go missing or lost, and, just kind of clean it up. So that's in process right now. We talked a little bit about scoreboard shot clocks, more on that. We are selling tickets at the basketball games, Tuesday night. We were over capacity, sold out. I think tickets were reduced to 200 by AD Wheeler. I think we have to talk about what is that capacity in the gym, because it was already like too tight. So 250 used to be the ticket number, but she's feeling we may not be able to fit that many in. So need to talk about that.
Okay, fit how many in the pool room?
No, in the main gym for basketball.
Oh, right, yes. I've heard that from the basketball team and themselves that they want a new arena, but that's going to be a really hard task.
Well,
but the thing is, I did hear rumors from, say, one Mr. Steinmiller that we could rebuild the old shack of a freshman building into a basketball gymnasium with more classrooms in it, a la Whitney Young. But here's the thing. Speaking of your water polo coach, Quest Desire, here's the thing. I believe we should find we should go about it the same way we did with our new athletic director. You know how she's basically a Arizona Bearcats female basketball ex-player? Let's find a water polo player from any college we can find. It doesn't even have look at Division II for all I care.
George,
we just need to fill the seat.
No, well, it's not just filling the seat, but I have been posting in some LinkedIn water polo groups as well as Chicago-based. There's a group, for instance, called the Apostles. Who would have known?
Why don't
there are these groups?
Okay, then why don't we expand the bubble of to like Illinois or maybe southern Wisconsin or western Indiana?
Well, I mean, they kind of have to live nearby to do this. I don't think we're going to recruit someone.
All right, so let's just stick to Illinois, okay?
Yeah.
If we have to, then we'll just go with like the rest of the state that isn't Cook County.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
If you want to brainstorm with me and get some like recruiting coaching, let's sit down because I love your ideas.
You know where to find me.
I really don't, but I don't know where to find you, but
I know.
yeah.
Since we got Pac-12 the last
Yeah.
time, wasn't sold. Let's go for the Big Ten. Let's try and find let's find a Northwestern or Illinois or something and ask one of their outgoing players from graduation if they can do a part-time coaching job.
I love this.
LP water polo.
Yeah, I love, George,
So-
I love your idea. And
yeah.
maybe you and Denise can
Yeah,
work
let's
together.
work together, but you're one step ahead of me. We are posting more at the local universities. So we had a really great meeting with DePaul with the athletic department this week. And we are really trying to forge a really more comprehensive bond with the school. We have a principal in training here who's really leading that effort, Miss Sylvester. And so it was a great meeting. We're starting with sports. They have Taylor, a great community rep. We talked about what kind of discounts can we get on having some games at the DePaul gym. They just redid their gym, but also selfishly for me, recruiting. So we are posting these open roles at the school, do the same at Northwestern, UIC, perfect for faculty, coaches at the schools, as well as, upperclassmen. So, yeah, for sure. So I'm confident, George, we're going to find a great water polo coach.
Thank
Is
you.
there a tennis coach for the
Thank you.
spring? I know last year.
Yes.
Okay, so a different
Laura
one.
Hansen.
Oh,
So for boys,
Yeah,
she said she's coming back.
as the regular coach?
Last
Okay.
week she said, yeah, is that
Okay.
coach? So
Is there an assistant?
I'd have to look. I can't.
Okay.
I know there was a gentleman in process, I think, but I don't know if they.
Okay, maybe just like.
Yeah.
Asterisk that,
Yeah.
because I know last year it was kind of a mess, so.
Okay.
I know she didn't want to do it, but I'm not speaking for her.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
just to make sure that she's got the support she needs.
For sure. And speaking of team support, I mean, I just did an inventory. I would say, about half of our teams across all seasons have a really dedicated, active booster parent rep. We have to work on the rest of them. So a couple of booster folks put together a 25-page team parent onboarding guide, which is it's awesome, but it's like overwhelming and will scare people off. So we're working on that, but we have a little bit of work to do there to just make sure there's more family engagement across the sports to help the coaches and in some ways, alleviate the need for assistance to some degree, depending on the sport. Snap Manage, this is a tool that was purchased for the athletic department. AD Wheeler and I are having intensive training next week. And then I will take the lead on rolling that out to all of our sports, all of our coaches. This will be awesome. It will be one place for families, coaches, administration to interact rather than sending emails, et cetera. Compliance is part of it. So I'll know more next week, but this is a purchase that I think administration asked boosters to purchase, if I'm not mistaken. And so we have it. We just need to start using it. So that will roll out before spring sports for sure. Great. I already mentioned DePaul. Just one quick last thing. AD Wheeler and I had a really good meeting with Nick at the Park District, Chicago Park District, regarding fields. Nick controls the outside fields other than everything but Oz. It was a great meeting. There is definitely a pecking order there as to who gets field space. And so it behooves us to stay in contact, have a really positive relationship. They really Nick is a really big fan of LP, as is Sam, his boss.
Wait,
I've known Sam for
fellow
years.
fans of LP, you say?
George, let's let Denise finish, okay?
Splendid.
And then I also both of us will be meeting with Eric, who controls the Oz Park fields. So just a similar relationship that we want to continue to build on. So I think that is it. If I could just go back to fundraising, this will come up at FOL next week, but a grant writer, I don't know the status of that, but I'm very interested in where we are with that. I've been doing a lot of research on just major corporate grants, and it would be great to have someone with, grant writing expertise. So I know there was someone on a volunteer basis who had been identified. So I look forward to hearing what that is. And then, yeah, and we should meet on community. I just joined the board of the Mid-North Association and also the Wrightwood Association. So those will be just, there's got to be some benefit to that, I would hope.
Definitely. Keep
Yeah.
posted. Friends on the board with both.
I think it would be great. Thank you so much. It would also be great to, if we don't have a grant writer in-house, to reach out maybe on Nextdoor or through the Alderman's newsletter to see if maybe there's someone in the community that's retired or looking for, you know, some work that might be wanting to help out. Okay, back to public comments. Any public comments? Anything online? Anybody have
Anybody
anything?
on-
Any hands? Bueller.
Twice.
Okay, Zach, thanks for being here, even though we couldn't get you promoted to panelist, but we knew you were here. Okay, I guess, our next meeting is January 9th. I'm sure Peter will make sure we have quorum, but can I get a motion to adjourn?
Moved. Second.
All in favor?
All in favor.
Yes.
1 hour. 14
Wow.
Record.
And
We
I
can't
cannot
even
be at
host
the next
meetings
meeting.
from
So
now on.
sorry.
Oh, way to stay efficient.
I
Yeah, but don't worry, my dad will record it and we will.
good. Yeah, say I'm sorry. I had the work conflict there. It's smart. I mean, look, he never wants to have happen again that time he drove back to Detroit when we didn't have. That was.